Getting married this year? Organizing a corporate function that needs all the trimmings? Who is Mike Jones Event Planning? Who? Mike Jones. Who? Mike Jones. Who is Mike Jones Event Planning? Is your premier event coordinating and concierge firm. Who is Mike Jones Event Planning? Coordinates and caters events of all sizes, specializing in graduation parties, theme weddings, bar mitzvahs, quinceañeras, and Kwanzaa. Who is Mike Jones Event Planning? Wants to make sure that your event goes off without a hitch. And that means chopped and screwed planning ahead now. So put them H-Town hussies on Front Street. Remember, back then, they didn't want you. Now you hot. They all on you. To make all your dreams come true, call Who is Mike Jones Event Planning at 281-330-8004. Tell them RJ sent you. Sooner or later, I'm going to have one of y'all rob the jewelry store and tell them make me a grill. Somebody got that reference. Somebody didn't. See, I don't need a 24-meeting mega conference as much as I need a playoff. I mean, I would love a mega conference, and I like doing that segment, but I'll take a mega conference. I'll take a playoff before I take a mega conference. Okay, top 10 teams, college football, right? It's one of these list segments that everybody does that y'all seem to love. All right, number one, I'm put Clemson. One, because Clemson has managed to play 2 games already, and they got 2 wins. Just getting the games in right now feels like a big deal, you know? And I don't care if they did beat Citadel. I care that Citadel was presented with the idea of a running clock in the second half, and they said, no, we want to get every single minute of your money. We want to get your money's worth in this game. And I get it, because nobody knows if they're going to be able to keep playing college football. You want to get as much football in as you possibly can. Clemson is also number one because they are coming off of a national runner-up showing in 2019, which is more than I can say about Ohio State. Who is number 2 in my poll, even though they're not going to play a game until week 7. And that's basically on the strength of Justin Fields, Trey Sermon. Yes, of course, the wide receiver group. Yes, of course, defensive line. But I would bet on Larry Johnson Sr. on general principle anyway. Getting Sean Wade back, Wyatt Davis, icing on the cake. They ought to be there right at the end if they are able to get through enough games to qualify. And that's right now going to be the big challenge for Ohio State. Number 3, I got Alabama. Much the same reason that I got Ohio State there. Mac Jones is good enough to win a national championship. You know why? Because Jay Cover was good enough to win a national championship. Because Greg McElroy is good enough to win a national championship. That's why he's good enough to win a national championship. It's not because he's the greatest quarterback. It's because he's good enough to get the job done, right? Najee Harris in the backfield, Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle, you know what it is. Defensively, Dylan Moses, Patrick Surtain Jr., DJ Dale, you know what it is. Number 4, I got Texas. Okay, I got Texas. I got Texas at number 4 and Oklahoma at number 5 because Texas beat UTEP and Oklahoma beat Missouri State. UTEP is not good, but it is an FBS team. Missouri State is not good, and it is an FCS team. Why does that matter? It matters because the level of talent that you're able to recruit at University of Texas El Paso is better than the level of talent that you can recruit at Missouri State. It's also a commentary on scholarship limits. You get 85 scholarship players at an FBS program. You get 67, I believe, 65, 67 at an FCS program. Much fewer. Your budget's also a lot smaller for recruiting. Texas being able to beat up on UTEP, I'm going to give them the edge there because Texas is wild talented. I mean, Jordan Whittington's going to be out for a little bit, but they still got Jake Smith, who's coming back from injury. Brendan Eagles, Tarek Black, Brendan Schooler. And then in your backfield, you got Roshan Johnson, you got Keontae Ingram, you got Bijan Robinson. Sam Ehlinger is the best returning quarterback in the country, based entirely on him having, like 84 responsible touchdowns for. Like when we're talking about prolific, he is that dude. He is prolific. And if their defense is halfway decent under Chris Ash, I feel good about it. The thing about this is, Oklahoma and Texas could be flipped next week, depending entirely on how Texas beats Texas Tech. If it's like a 1-score game, I'm going to dock Texas for that. Because Texas Tech needed a 2-point win against the Houston Baptists. What? Yeah, so we'll see how that goes. Oklahoma gets Kansas State, who I thought was going to be a little bit more of something. Then Arkansas State was able to get a win. So there's that. Number 6, I got Florida. I could flip Florida and Georgia at 4 and 5, but that wouldn't be any fun. Plus, Florida hadn't played nobody yet. And I'm not entirely certain that they make it to the world's largest cocktail party without a loss or a blemish. But they do have a returning starter quarterback, and that's huge in the pandemic year where nobody gets to practice with anybody. And knowing that your playbook is your playbook is now a luxury as opposed to just something you thought you would have figured out by now. That is why Georgia is at 7 here, because Georgia doesn't know who the quarterback is in a year where Todd Monken is first-year offensive coordinator and they're changing up the offensive system. You also lost 3 starters on the offensive line, and you don't have an heir apparent to Dominique Blaylock to complement George Pickens. Just got a lot of question marks on the offense for me to put you ahead of Florida right now. Again, stuff can change, and stuff always does, but right now I got Florida ahead of Georgia because I like continuity a little bit more than I like talent when you have comparable talent. See Texas and Oklahoma. Auburn at number 8, Central Florida at number 9, and Marshall at number 10. I don't think anybody's going to have a problem with Auburn at 8 except maybe Texas A&M, perhaps. I would have put North Carolina here, but the way that they took that deep into the fourth quarter against Syracuse just gave me the willies, and they're not going to play again until October 3rd. So we ain't got to worry about North Carolina for a little bit. I know there's some people that would like to see Notre Dame in this top 10, but why? Like, every time we put Notre Dame in the top 10, Notre Dame does just enough to reassure us that they're good, but they're not great. See 2018, right? Barely beat a USC team that probably should have beat them and knocked them out of the playoff, and then you go get railroaded by Clemson with the same quarterback you have now. Okay? I understand if you wanted to put Notre Dame in the top 10, I would allow it. I just don't put them there. I certainly don't put them at 8. I put Auburn there at 8 because I know what Gus Malzahn is. I love the addition of Chad Morris. If he lets Chad Morris call the plays, I think it's going to be okay. I love Kevin Steele, the defensive coordinator. Owen Papo playing linebacker. Bo Nix at quarterback. Kalen Newton might actually break the depth chart. We'll see how that goes. But we know what they're going to do. They're going to run the ball and chuck it deep. They got 2 routes. Post and go. We'll see how that goes. Because every time we try to count Auburn out, they beat Oregon. Or they beat Alabama. Put them at 8. Central Florida is at 9 because they're winning. They're beating everybody that they have to beat. And I like Central Florida more than I like Notre Dame. Especially if Notre Dame can't run the football. Because with Kyron Williams, they're proving that they're going to be a running team. Right? They're going to try to take the ball out of Ian Book's hands as much as they can. And they're going to depend on their offensive line to try to go get them wins. And if Kyle Hamilton is healthy, that's one of the best safeties in the country, if not the best safety in the country. So we'll see. And then number 10, I got Marshall. Why do I have Marshall at 10? Because I watched every bit of that Appalachian State game, and I thought Appalachian State would have been a top 10 team if they just kept winning. They beat up on the Sun Belt, make it past Marshall. Turns out they're not that good, right? They're not good enough to go to a 3rd consecutive head coach, even keeping the quarterback, even keeping the running game, even keeping the defense, and not suffer a loss in this non-conference such as it is. I like Sean Clark. I know that he was a part of the program for some time, but Eli Drinkwitz and what he did gets a little bit more interesting and gets a little bit more elevation from me because of how Sean Clark lost this game to Marshall. I'm also in on Marshall being good. Like, I saw him play. DJ Knox can run the ball. The offensive line is good enough. They play good defense, and their quarterback is figuring stuff out. Marshall is also a team that could get just as easily knocked out of this by a Notre Dame or by a North Carolina or even by a Texas A&M. But right now, Marshall's 2-0. Show me another team that's 2-0. Because when I'm doing this, wins and losses matter. Like, unless you're just that talented, Ohio State, Georgia, Florida, Auburn, Alabama, I'm not going to give you the benefit of the doubt. I need you to win some games. Because, like, I would have put North Carolina in this top 10 weeks ago. But then you're taking a 6-6 game into the fourth quarter against the Syracuse team I didn't expect to win 2 games. I don't feel that good about you anymore. So those are my top 10 teams right now. Why top 10? Because there are only 76 teams that are playing. Right? It's going to be 90 by October 24th, but we got to get to October 24th first. check on the chat in this bit of time that we have left. Wolves58, appreciate you joining the community. If you are not a member of the RJ Young Show community, you should be, because it costs, membership starts at 99 cents. And I have more 99-cent members than I have $5 members. Which means that, man, look, you're paying less than a penny per video? Like, conservatively, there are 4 segments a day that appear on this channel. That's 28 in a week. Right? That's like 112 videos in a month. They're only 100 pennies in $1. 99 and 99 cents. You see what I'm saying here? Like, in some ways, you're kind of robbing me. I'm not being facetious there. I'm being facetious, but you understand. It costs nothing. This channel is the 9th biggest city in the state of Oklahoma. Corey Carhoff. Yeah, like, what was it? A couple weeks ago, this channel community got bigger than the entire city of Stillwater. What? Like, I think we're like 4,000 subs or something from being bigger than Boone Pickens Stadium, which is wild. Let me see. What else we got in here? From Russia with Ohio State the best. Yo, okay. We got Russian Ohio State fans. What did Aaron Taylor say? Aaron Taylor said the American is stronger than the Big 12. That's because Aaron Taylor's calling American games. Duh. Like, you ever see any Big 12 games on CBS? Y'all really need to start paying attention to these analysts and where they work. Nobody ever questions Joel Klatt because that dude is talking about Big 10 and Big 12 football, and the dudes that are watching him, they watch Big 10 or Big 12 football teams. CBS has the American, the SEC, Conference USA. They ain't got no Big 12 games. Of course Aaron Taylor's going to shade the Big 12. Hello? Man, this is what I'm talking about. Like, I need y'all to do this with your eyes open, with your eyes wide open. If somebody's not going to admit their bias to you, they are omitting it. Don't let them. Understand where everybody's angle is. I'm not saying I don't have an angle. I am saying be woke to the angle. Understand. Right? This is why I've always approached this by you knowing what the team is. Right? But that doesn't prohibit me from talking mad trash about Oklahoma. I do it almost daily. Come on, man. But do you think so or not of their alliance? What alliance? What I miss? Miami is the biggest underdog in college football this year, or Cincy. Miami should never be an underdog in any year. Ever. You know? Like, no shade to Louisville, but like, Miami probably shouldn't have beat them that badly. Like, a lot of us thought the Scott Satterfield squad was going to be better than that. But we'll see, right? Miami is in the ACC. So if they continue on this course, they get to collide with Clemson. Then we get to find out for sure whether or not Miami is the real deal. Because it wasn't that long ago, we would have picked Miami to beat Clemson. I say it wasn't that long ago. It's like 18 years. But you understand the point. Clemson showed they suck. Man, you getting put in timeout. Like, how did Clemson show they suck? Come here with this asinine comment. The Big 12 is an OU Texas departure from being a Group of 5 conference. Now, it's already a Group of 5 conference with OU and Texas in it. No, I don't agree with his claim. No, I don't. I make jokes, though, man. Like, until the American plays in the college football playoff, see me. It's that simple. Get your American team in the college football playoff. Then see me. You know, I make jokes about the Sun Belt owning the Big 12, but the Sun Belt ain't been nowhere near the New Year's Six. Come on, man. See me. It matters. Let's see. All right. I got parent-teacher conferences coming up here in a little bit. I appreciate y'all joining me an hour earlier than I normally do. We do the live shows normally on Mondays and Wednesdays at 3 o'clock local time. Please download the podcast, subscribe to the podcast, leave a 5-star review. If you leave a 5-star review and it is a nice 5-star review, or it's even a decent question, I will read it on the show. I did it on the last one. We're up to 266 ratings. It'd be cool to be up to 276 ratings by the next time that we do this on Monday. There will be a Saturday podcast because the Saturday podcast is becoming really cool. Bobby Carpenter's going to be on the Saturday podcast with me. Very appreciative of his time, taking time to do that. There are no new reviews that you have left, so there goes that segment. All right. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, you should. And I know that most of the people that watch the channel don't. I don't understand why you don't subscribe. It costs nothing. Anyway, that is going to do it for me. I will check y'all in a couple of hours. Doses.